not being kicked out. If George Santos was a Democrat, oh my God. The minute the minute it came out that he lied about his mom being in the Twin Towers in 9/11, he would have been kicked out of the party immediately. But here, that's just one of his many lies. Here he is still in the party. And what it does is it exposes how corrupt and dishonest the Republican Party is. In case you didn't already know, in case it isn't already obvious, the fact that George Santos is still a Republican member of Congress exposes just the inherent rot at the heart of the party. And I think that bothers Mitt Romney because that's his party that he's trying to represent when you have someone like this. And I'm going to play, before I get to more commentary around this, I want to play the next clip. So this is Mitt Romney after the State of the Union, when the media clearly had seen that he was had that interaction with George Santos. Here is Mitt Romney in very clear terms discussing how he feels about him.
You just said you don't belong here.
Yeah.
Why did you say
that to me? I didn't expect that he'd be standing there trying to shake hands with every senator and the President of the United States. That's given the fact that he's under ethics investigation, he should be sitting in the back row and staying quiet instead of parading in front of the president and people coming into the room.
Did he respond to you?
Look. He says he that he embellished his record. Look, embellishing is saying you got an A when you get an A minus. Lying is saying you graduated from a college you didn't even attend. And he shouldn't be in Congress. And they're going to go through the process and hopefully get him out. And but he shouldn't be there. And if he had any shame at all, he wouldn't be there.
Why did you make a point to say that, though? I mean, it was kind of out of your way to.
Well, he was standing right there in the aisle, shaking hands with everybody.
Did he respond to you?
He may have. I didn't hear anything he said.
That Kevin McCarthy is not going to resign?
Yes.
That one reporter there is almost like critical of Mitt Romney. It's like, but why did you say that to him? Because he's an asshole. And as Romney said, he was right there, trying to blend in with the crowd. I'm like, just, like every other piece of trash there. We got to be honest. There's not a lot of good-hearted politicians that actually care about people or care to do anything to push society forward. But at the very least, they don't lie about their mom dying in 9/11. So, there is a bar for Congress. It's a low bar, but that may be the bar. But we have to understand, before I get to more around Romney and Utah specifically, the power dynamic at play here is what allowed this to happen. Mitt Romney is a senator. He's been in Washington for quite a while. George Santos is a freshman, just was newly elected, barely into Congress, maybe kicked out, hopefully at some point soon. So this uneven power dynamic, the fact that George Santos has no ability to hurt Romney at all, especially Romney being in Utah, allowed Romney to do this publicly. Because Romney feels the exact same way about Donald Trump. And to be fair to him, he has had, articles and statements that he's put out critical of Trump, but you've never seen him treat Trump like this in public. And he wouldn't, because there's a very different dynamic, power dynamic at play there. But in the case of Santos, it's very easy to just step on this guy like he's a little bug. But let me get to just how different Utah is, because this also goes to why Romney's able to pull something like this off and it only help him. Because recent poll here, this is from December, shows that Trump comes in third place in polling for a potential primary. They write here, this is a Deseret News, says if the Republican presidential primary were held today, only 14.6% of Utahns, is that how you say it? Utahns? That seems wrong. I don't know. Utah individuals would vote for the former president. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis topped the list at 24.2%, followed by Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney comes out over Trump. who lost her re-election bid to a Trump-endorsed candidate at 16.4%. Mike Pence and Ted Cruz both at 6%, while Nikki Haley 3.7%. Nikki Haley, quite the joke. But this is, I mean, pretty crazy. The fact that in every other state, it's very close between DeSantis and Trump, depending on what the state is. Here, Trump is not even close. I mean, almost half of what DeSantis has in Utah. But again, it's very important to point out how there is almost no difference between DeSantis and Trump on actual policy positions and what they would actually do and fight for. All of this is really about optics and how the fact that Utah has, of the 10 counties with the most Mormons in the U.S., 9 of them are in Utah. So Mormons are a little more, to their credit, have higher standards than the typical Republican voter. So Trump being outlandish, ridiculous, the swearing, all that, his past relationships, all that stuff definitely goes to hurt Donald Trump in the eyes of many Mormons compared to other potential candidates. But it's also important to share Mitt Romney's record here, because it's not all, that if I'm going to compliment him, I have to also be critical of him in the same video. So Mitt Romney here up against Mitch McConnell has agreed with Mitch McConnell, 83% of the time. There's very little pushback on the actual establishment here and what the party of Trump tends to do, even though, again, Trump pretends to hate Mitch McConnell, or he may hate him. But in terms of what McConnell accomplished for Trump, it's insane to me for Trump to hate McConnell, or for any Republican voter to hate McConnell, considering McConnell is the guy that's done the most for the party and pushing it to the most extreme right than anyone has in Washington. But these votes they're really bizarre on Romney's side, because you have votes like this, where he announced support for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is a much more progressive Supreme Court pick than I would have expected from Joe Biden. A great pick in Ketanji Brown Jackson. Romney supported her. Yet Romney voted against the Veterans Health Bill. So the PACT Act, the PACT Act, which extended care to service members who became ill after exposure to toxic burn pits. He voted against the burn pits bill. So it's just because he claimed it was too expensive. So a very bizarre record to, on one hand, vote for someone like Ketanji Brown Jackson, then on the other, vote against burn pit health care for veterans. Just to show you how bizarre Mitt Romney's positions can be. But it was really good to see him slam George Santos to his face, and whatever. You give him credit where it's due.